How's it going? This is the last section of the week, 3.6. This is for Friday's class. Alright, this section is talking about how to graph polynomial functions, and also we'll talk about how to solve inequalities. See, the first type of question is about the limit as x approaches negative infinity or positive infinity. Now, if you read page 122 of your text, it goes over all the specific rules. So if you want to just think about it that way as like a bunch of rules, you can. There's nothing wrong with that. But the way I prefer to think about it is just intuitively, because I don't want to memorize anything. I just want to think of what makes sense. Okay, so let's look at number one. It says find the limit, looking for the limit as x goes to infinity and negative infinity. Sorry, negative infinity first, yeah. Negative infinity of f of x. Okay, we haven't seen limits before, but all it is it's telling you what's going to happen as x gets larger and larger, or I mean, it's closer and closer to this value. In this case, the value is negative infinity, so it's like a really big negative number. Think of like negative 10 million, 10 billion, 10 trillion, and just going further and further as far as possible to the left. So what is the limit of f of x as x goes to negative infinity? And the other question is, what is the limit as x goes to positive infinity of f of x? And here our f of x function, let me just write it on the side here. Here f of x is equal to negative 2x cubed plus a bunch of stuff. Okay, it actually does not matter what the rest of the stuff is. It only matters what is the highest power. Even if these other coefficients are big, it doesn't make a difference because this x cubed term is way more powerful than an x squared term or an x term as x gets really big. Okay, so this is the only thing that's going to determine what's going to happen to my function, the first term. Now, there's a negative 2 in front of it, right? So what I want to think about is if I plug in a really big negative number, think of like negative 100 million or something, what is this going to be? First of all, positive or negative, and is it going to be big or small? So if I put in a really big negative number, like negative 10 million, that's going to be raised to the third power. It's going to be negative times negative makes a negative, but multiplied by this negative 2 in the front, that makes it turn positive in the end. Right? So that means the overall sign is going to be positive, and it's going to be a really huge number. So positive, and the larger it gets, the larger f of x is going to get. So positive infinity. Now these limits for these polynomials, they're always going to be positive or negative infinity because the thing is just going to explode as x gets larger and larger. It's either going to explode upwards or downwards. Okay, the second one, limit of fx as x goes to positive infinity. So if I put a positive infinity here, this is going to be a really big positive number, right? X cubed. And then at the end, it's going to be multiplied by this negative 2. So that's going to turn it negative, which means I'm going to get a negative infinity. Alright, so that's it. Now to give you just a little more intuition, so if that did not make sense to you, let's try sticking an actual number. If I stick in a million, it's harder to work with. Let's just stick in something smaller that we can see clearly, like 10. Let's say if we're doing the negative case first, let's do f of negative 10. That's negative 2 times negative 10 to the third power, which is negative 2 times, since it's third power and it's negative, it's going to be negative 1 with 3 zeros, right? Which is negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2,000. So you see already we're pretty big, right? Just by sticking negative 10. If I change this to 100, that's just going to tack on zeros here, so it's going to be a really huge number. And so we can kind of see it's getting really big, and it's getting big in the positive direction, so that makes sense. Okay, what about the other case? What about if I was to put in a positive infinity? So f of positive 10, what is that? That's negative 2 times positive 10 to the third, which is negative 2 times 1,000, which is negative 2,000. So with this time, if I put a positive large value, it gets negative, right? Which is kind of corresponding with what I expect. The limit as x goes to negative infinity is negative infinity. Okay, one more visualization, one more, I'm not going to do this for all the questions, but one more intuition behind what's going on here. Think about this picture on a number line. As x goes negative infinity, that means x is going further in the left direction. my function is going towards positive infinity. So it's, I don't know, the function looks like something, but as it gets further out to the left, it's going up and up, bigger and bigger and bigger. And as it goes towards the right, as x goes towards positive infinity to the right, it's going down, down, down. It's going smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, this is actually not exactly what the graph looks like, but I just want to emphasize what's happening as it goes towards the left, far to the left, and towards the right, far to the right. It's going really high and really low. In fact, probably more steep than that. It's more like this probably. And this one's probably also more steep like this. Really big. Okay, we'll get into more details on how to graph the thing better and how to be more specific. This is actually not what the graph looks like, but it is what the graph looks like far to the left and far to the right. It's going to go really big or really small. Alright guys, that's it.